Thank you for joining me. Hey, since when is it a fact that when you join a college, when you sign up to get a university degree, that you have to check your constitutional rights at the door? Look, we have a right to keep and bear arms in this country. That goes for college kids, whether we like it or not. I personally think college campuses would be safer if concealed handgun license holders who happen to be going to school there were allowed to carry their weapons onto campus. Yet the new chancellor of the Texas university system, Chancellor William McRaven, who was he's basically the general that orchestrated the Osama bin Laden raid that had Osama bin Laden killed, he doesn't like the idea. He says, no, it's going to make it less safe. The statistics do not back him up. Joining me now is attorney Edwin Walker of Texas Law Shield. Edwin, it's great to have you on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always great to be on your show.
So what was your response when you saw that Chancellor William McRaven says, no, you know what? I'm gonna play the soundbite for you.
I've had a number of faculty and students write me expressing their concern about my position, but I'm an educator now. And my first priority is to the students and the faculty and the administrators and the clinicians. And while I absolutely understand the Second Amendment, I have spent my life fighting for the Second Amendment. You have to ask yourself, why did the Founding Fathers put freedom of speech as the First Amendment? They may have done that because freedom of speech is incredibly important. And if you have guns on campus, I question whether or not that will somehow inhibit our freedom of speech.
Now, I don't know what he's talking about here, Edwin Walker. Do you?
No, I find that to be kind of a ridiculous statement. I believe that and I may be cynical here, and I don't, of course, mean to impugn anybody's motives, but I'm quite sure that the chancellorship of UT pays a lot more than naval retirement does, and so he probably is only going to tote the line that the Regents want for him to tote, so he'll keep his job. I mean, that's my own personal cynical opinion, and so he may have been very, very pro Second Amendment, but if they're going to, if they're going to say, look, this is the way this is our position, and you're going to advocate for it whether you like it or not, if you want to keep your job, that may be the position that he's in.
And do you know? I don't know where the Regents fall down on this. I know a lot. I know some of the Regents, and they seem to be fairly good conservatives. I'd be shocked if all of them were against the idea. Do you know where they fall on this?
Yeah, no, they theoretically have all been appointed by Rick Perry since he's been the governor. He's the governor for 14 years, or 13 years. And so I think he's got to appoint every single one of them. So I can't say that they're, that they necessarily would fall into a definite anti-gun position. However, keep in mind that, a corporation doesn't necessarily reflect the beliefs of the people on its board of directors, but the people who are running the organization. And the people who run the University of Texas, I'm quite certain, are very, very anti-gun in their philosophy. And so if you have to take this – I'm sorry, my throat is getting all scratched up.
That's fine.
If you have to take this position that you're going to tote the water for the administration, then – you're going to come down with this anti-gun position. Now, one of the things that's interesting about campus carry that I think oftentimes gets overlooked is that, and I know you brought this up as far as, saying students should have the right to carry, and I don't disagree with that, but the group of people that we're talking about mostly of having the right to carry are visitors and campus employees, because most of the students at the University of Texas, at least obviously most of the underclassmen, aren't even eligible to have a CHL. And the ones that are eligible, even though they're under 21, are current and former service members. So one would think that if they were trusted enough by the government to carry a gun into battle, they should be trusted enough to, if they can get a CHL, they should be trusted enough to carry one on a college campus.
Yeah, one would think that would be the case. And look, I understand that there are people out there. I was in college. I was a nutcase when I was in college. I was crazy, and I had fun. I never did anything that bad, but I like to have fun. And I could see how you might say, you know what, some of these college kids shouldn't be carrying weapons. But we don't get the ability to make that decision. The Constitution says everyone has a right to carry a weapon. Every adult has a right to carry a weapon, to keep and bear arms. It's not up to us to say, oh, well, because a few people are nuts, we're not going to ban it for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, and that's what I actually have this problem with a lot of laws that are on the books. These laws that are designed to quote unquote prevent crime, that's putting the cart before the horse. That's prejudging somebody's action just by the mere fact that they possess something. And I've always had a problem with those laws. They've always sort of rubbed me the wrong way. And so people making this assumption that if you have a firearm that you are predisposed to do something unlawful with it, the law shouldn't be looking at things that way. The law should seek to punish people who actually do harm to other people, not just the assumed position that somebody will do a harm to somebody, and thus making a law based on that. Also, the reason colleges and universities are on this list anyway, I think is just a pure oversight by the Texas legislature. Whenever the Texas legislature first drafted the law that said you couldn't bring weapons onto they left the language as broad as they could, school or educational institution. They don't even define the word educational institution in that portion of the penal code. So that's a huge gray area. You know, what is an educational institution? Our daycares, our vacation Bible schools.
Well, look, Edwin, I'll tell you this. We're talking to attorney Edwin Walker from Texas Law Shield. I went in today to read to my little 5-year-old's kindergarten class today. Now, I'm a CHL holder. My gun was in my briefcase, and it was locked up in the trunk of my car because I can't carry it into school. Now, I should be allowed to carry it into Wyatt's elementary school, because God forbid something was to happen. Wouldn't it be nice if I just happened to be reading to my kid's kindergarten class when something did go down and I was armed?
Yes, and the thing about it is that no law or sign ever prevented a bad guy from going somewhere with a gun where they had the intent to do evil.
You know, I'll tell you, it rarely prevents a good guy, too. There's a couple malls here in Dallas that have the sign posted out there, and I disobey them. I walk right on in, and I'm carrying. And I know I'm probably breaking the law by doing it, but I don't care. Edwin, here's another interesting. The Dallas Morning News wrote an editorial slamming campus carry. And they said, quote, campus police chiefs say it's more likely that guns will be improperly stored or accidentally discharged than its owner will need a firearm on campus for self-defense. So I went and did a little search. Now, this is just a quick, cursory search. I could only find 3 accidents in the last 5 years in Texas where a CHL holder had accidentally discharged his weapon. All 3 events took place inside the CHL training class. I couldn't find any other accidental discharge of a CHL holder.
No, those campus police chiefs are just clearly engaging in unsupported hyperbole.
They are. And then I went and looked. There's a study by a professor at Rice University, and he said since states like Texas enacted the CHL, homicides have been down 8%, rapes 5%. Now, I'm sure a lot of factors went into that, but you can't say that crime increases, and this William McRaven is out of line, just as are all the critics.
Yes, and there's and the thing about it is that there's no, every single time that the anti-gun folks have cried that there's going to be blood in the streets because there's an expansion of firearms rights that has yet to come about in any state that has increased gun rights. There are not, there's not going to be mass shootings on campuses with CHL holders who go off the rails because they got a D in chemistry.
No, it just doesn't happen. There's 500,000 CHL holders in the state of Texas, and they're all using their guns properly. Hey, Edwin Walker with Texas Law Shield, we appreciate you coming on and talking about this.
Well, thank you for having me, and like I said, I'm sorry that my voice the changes in the weather that we're having down here in Houston just keep my allergies all messed up.
No problem, Edwin. You take care of yourself and get well soon. All right, I'm Grant Stinchfield. This is the Stinchfield Report on News and Information 570 KLIF.